It's quite the find. Hello friends, and welcome back to Crow's Thrifty Finds. My name is Melanie. So for this week's video, I had something else in mind, but I had to kind of shift it to a different direction. I had a bid on a storage unit, and I was so excited to bring you all another storage unit video, and then the auction got canceled because the buyer paid for their unit. So I mean, that's good that they get to keep their stuff. I was just obviously sad to miss out on the unit, and then of course that left me with, well, what am I going to do for my channel this week? But I was looking over some of the more popular videos, and one of them that did very well that I think more people want to know about was cassettes. And I have much more knowledge on cassettes to share with you. So why don't we do that this week instead? I'll get another storage unit another time. So let's talk. So I'm going to discuss today 10 cassettes that sell well on eBay that you should be on the lookout for. And just like the last video, I'm going off of used cassettes because that would be the more likely thing to find. As opposed to new cassettes. If you see new cassettes from popular bands, you definitely want to do some searching and looking up, because more than likely you're going to get some good money if it's a desirable album. But again, more than likely you're going to find used cassettes in the wild a lot more than you're going to find new ones. So let's talk about those values. Number one, there is a rap group, hip hop group called 3-6 Mafia. And they started as this kind of underground group, but they gained a sort of, cult following, if you will. And their cassettes, it's not even just one cassette. A lot of their cassettes are very valuable, but we are going to focus on their album called Mystic Styles. This album sells big money on eBay. It's sold for $250, as you can see. So this is an album that you want to be on the lookout for on cassette. New or used, you will make money. I hope for your sake the one you find is new, because that would be even better. But yeah, $250 is nothing to turn your nose up at. So do be on the lookout for 3-6 Mafia, Mystic Styles, and there are other cassettes as well if you buy them. So just look for 3-6 Mafia in general. Number two, there is a rap artist known as Rayquan. He was in the Wu-Tang clans. Many of you, I'm sure, know about Wu-Tang, but this is more of his solo project. He had an album called Only Built for Cuban Links, and this album sells for $225 used. So another huge bolo to be on the lookout for, because this is big money for one little cassette that you're probably going to get for 50 cents at a garage sale somewhere. So be on the lookout for Rayquan Only Built for Cuban Links album. Cassette number 3 is from a band called Korn. I like Korn. I went to a Korn concert once. It was good. So the album that we're specifically talking about by Korn is their album called Issues. Issues came out in 1999, which, as many of you probably will come to realize, that is very late to be still making cassettes. So this is one of those deals where most people had this album on CD, not as many people buying cassettes. So it makes the cassette probably smaller in production, less people bought it, less of them around, but yet still a very popular album. So these sell around $60, and that's still, again, nothing to turn your nose up at. $60 for a 50-cent cassette tape, is definitely a good pickup. So be on the lookout for Korn Issues. Cassette number 4. It's not always about the newer cassettes. There's older ones that can sell well too. And this cassette in particular is by the band The Monkees. Hey, hey, we're the Monkees. that's what I know about from the Monkees. But Yeah, the Monkees' Greatest Hits album on cassette sells, as you can see, it's sold for $246. So this is an album that is in demand. People want it on cassette. So just because you see an older band like the Monkees doesn't necessarily mean that the cassette is not valuable. So do not just, have your focus solely on, these newer 90s albums like Korn. You want to also look for some older stuff as well, because there's still value in older cassettes too. Next, we're going to talk soundtracks for cassette number 5. The soundtrack to the movie Halloween. This movie in general generates sales. I sold a Halloween promotional t-shirt for hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year or two ago. And the soundtrack to the movie is no exception. It is a bolo as well. It sells used for $100 pretty consistently from what I've seen. So this album is definitely one to pick up. Soundtracks in general, I think, are just lower in production in general, so that makes them, harder to get, more desirable, but still not impossible to find by any means, as Halloween is an incredibly popular movie. So be on the lookout for the Halloween movie soundtrack. And you know what? Since I gave you one soundtrack, how about another? There's a movie that came out in 1982, all the way back when I was born, called The Dark Crystal. It was a Jim Henson movie. I have not personally seen this. I saw pictures of it online and it looked a little creepy, but maybe it's cool. I don't know. Jim Henson stuff is good, so I'm sure it's a good movie. It's just a little before my time since I was born that year, but the soundtrack to it, very desirable. People want it. So this a used version of the soundtrack to the movie Dark Crystal sells for $80, as you can see. So soundtracks in general are good ones to look up. So, if you see movie soundtracks, out in the wild, definitely just jump on eBay real quick and see what they're going for. Next, we're going to talk rap some more. We're going to talk Snoop Dogg. He has an album called Doggy Style, and it was a very successful album. And it sells kind of at a variety of price points, but if you can find a first press Snoop Dogg Doggy Style, they sell for around $100 used. So that is definitely worth finding. And even if you find one that isn't first press, they still sell, in lower amounts, but still worth picking up no matter what. Because again, when you're not paying a lot, there's money on the table pretty much no matter what it's, worth, even if it's only worth, $20, it's still worth picking up if you get the tape for a quarter. So yeah, but the real bolos are the first press. So be on the lookout for that. Number 8, Iron Maiden. And again, much like some of the other bands whose cassettes are featured in this video, Iron Maiden stuff in general sells very, very, very well. And I always encourage people to look up Iron Maiden anything when you find it, because more than likely there is a market and a buyer for it. So Iron Maiden cassettes, they sell great in lots. There is one particular album that I want to highlight that I saw selling for pretty good money. That's Iron Maiden Live +1. And that sold at auction for $42.56 with quite a few bids. So people were fighting over that. So this is an album that's possibly more rare and in demand, but I am letting people know, in case you haven't heard it in prior videos of mine, that if you see Iron Maiden anything, you pick it up, and that includes cassettes. Item number 9. Another popular, heavier band, Metallica. I've mentioned Metallica in numerous videos as well, so this is kind of in the same vein as Iron Maiden. Metallica stuff sells. And again, just like Iron Maiden, you can do lots of Metallica tapes and make really good money. If I could single out an album, there is an album called Kill 'Em All. And Kill 'Em All sells used very consistently in the $50 range. You can see this one here went for $54.99. And these are, again, used cassettes. So great money. You definitely want to get Metallica tapes if you see them out in the wild. And Metallica is a very popular band. So the chances of you finding a Metallica cassette, you know, they're not impossible by any means. Have I found a Metallica cassette? Not yet, but I'm still looking and always will be. So yeah, definitely keep your eyes peeled. Number 10, David Bowie. There is a cassette called The Man Who Sold the World. It's desirable. It's sold for, drumroll please, $272.70. So that is one cassette that you definitely want to be on the lookout for. That one is the highest price of any of them in the video that I've discussed today. So who would have thunk? But yeah, do be on the lookout for David Bowie, Man Who Sold the World cassette. Guessing it's on the rare side, but again, you never know. Rare items are out there and you find them. So that's the list. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please like this video if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you. This channel is still decently new. We're approaching the year mark for my channel and it's growing. And I'm so happy for you all watching, but I definitely would love to get some more subscribers to keep growing the channel. So please subscribe if you haven't already. That is super helpful for me. And again, my name is Melanie with Crow's Thrifty Finds. And you guessed it, I will see you next week.